Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, HarperCollins Children's Books Fall 2020 Book Preview. My name is Ronnie Curry, Associate Editor, Books for You. And before we begin, I'd like to go over just a few technical webinar details. If you're in the audience, you are in listen-only mode. But if you have a question for one of our panelists or need technical assistance, please type a message into the Q&A box. We'll be sure to pass along any unanswered questions to panelists after the presentation. Links to today's slides were sent directly to you from Zoom at the start of the webinar, but you can also download them at any time by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. On Monday, all attendees will receive a follow-up email containing links to today's slide presentation, certificate of completion, and video recording. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to the Director of School and Library Marketing for HarperCollins Children's Books, Patty Rosati. Take it away, Patty.
Thanks, Ron. And welcome, everybody. What a time we're in, aren't we? I think I speak for many when I say how much we miss our libraries and our librarians and teachers too. And boy, do we now have such an incredible appreciation for what you all do every day. And I miss conferences and preview events and chats with colleagues where I learn the most about new books, and you may feel the same. So we hope that this virtual preview will help you discover some great new books that will be coming your way this fall. And we're really happy and thankful that you've taken the time to join us. I am Patty Rosati. I'm the Director of School and Library Team at HarperCollins Children's Books. I'll be presenting today with my colleagues Mimi Rankin and Katie Dutton to give you a sense of who we are and what we've been up to while staying at home. We're sharing the books we're currently reading and the shows we're binge watching. I think we're all doing a lot of that these days. Feel free to share with us what you're loving in the comments. I'm reading Candace Fleming's The Rise and Fall of Charles Lindbergh, and I am just dazzled by it. And I just started Normal People on Hulu. Is anyone else out there also paying so much money for multiple screening services? It's crazy. Anyway, Normal People, so far so good, and I hope I love it the way I love the book. And now, Mimi, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Mimi Rankin. I'm the marketing manager for the school and library team here at HarperCollins Children's Books. I am currently reading Category 5 by Anne Davila Cardinal, and it's very good. And I'm also watching Hollywood on Netflix from Ryan Murphy, and it is stunning and beautiful, and I definitely recommend it. And I will pass it over to Katie Dutton.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Dutton. I am the marketing associate here on the school and library team. I am currently reading The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. It is absolutely fantastic, highly recommend. Beautiful, beautiful writing. And I am currently watching Never Have I Ever. Also would highly recommend. It is so much fun.
Great, so that's the team. And also just wanted to also note, please feel free to send us questions or other feedback while we're presenting. We will try to answer during the session or after. Our friends at Booklist will send us your questions once the session is done. So Harper Stacks at Home. Teachers and creators and publishers have all come together lately to offer assistance during this pandemic. Free resources and sharing, popular authors teaching kids from their own homes. Everybody wants to help. Because of the size of the outpouring, it might be overwhelming to know where to go for quality materials. So we created Harper at Home to help with this. It's hc.com/Harper at Home, and we will send you a link to that after the session. Here you'll find permissions for online story time and live events, some classroom read aloud videos, updates on our updated ebook policy for libraries during this time, and lots of other goodies. So be sure to check that out. Now let's get to the books. We're going to start with picture books, and Katie Dutton is going to tell you all about them.
Thanks, Patty. We are gonna start off strong right out of the gate with the 4th installment of the beloved and hilarious Food Group series by Jory John and Pete Oswald. This cover was just revealed a couple days ago, so you guys are all among the very first people to get a look. Like the 3 before it, the couch potato is perfect for story time with clever text, engaging illustrations, hilarious puns, and a heartfelt message all rolled up into one. Kids of all ages, and most adults I know, will laugh along as their new best Spuddy learns that sometimes it's better to balance screen time and inactivity with fresh air and active playtime. This is perhaps especially pertinent for our current times. The couch potato will hit shelves in November. Next we have Sunflower Lion. It's a brand new picture book for a very young readers from recent Legacy Award winner Kevin Henkes. This is in the vein of Egg, Kitten's First Full Moon, and A Parade of Elephants. Using simple shapes, a limited and gorgeous color palette, and engaging repetitive text, this book introduces the basic concepts of storytelling, shapes, and language in a way that really only Kevin Henkes can. This book, divided into very short chapters, follows a sun, a flower, and, you guessed it, a lion. It asks questions of its audience and leaves the perfect amount of space for conversation, imagination, and discovery. It's a truly special reading experience. Our friend and esteemed educator Dudley Carlson wrote in her response to this book, "I love the degree to which Kevin really understands the way children think. In this case, it's the rare ability to speak directly to youngest child without talking down. Look, do you see it? Sun is like flower, is like lion. Watch, see what happens. They'll see it, they'll get it, they'll love it. Like its cousin kitten, it's perfect." This perfect picture book is coming to you in September. Next, how lucky are we to have 2 Kevin Henkes books on this list? For the first time ever, all 9 of Kevin's beloved mouse stories are being published together in this stunning treasury. In addition to the adventures of Lily, Chrysanthemum, Wemberly, and the rest, this jacketed hardcover, and what a gorgeous jacket, also includes an afterword from Kevin Henkes, an introduction from a noted expert, and family reading tips written by literacy expert Caroline Ward that gives some insight on how to share this book with young children. They touch on everything from addressing emotional themes to looking for patterns with your child to using the stories as a jumping off point for art, writing, and imaginative play. Lily and Friends is publishing in September. As you may have heard and gotten a sneak peek of that next slide, Frog and Toad Are Friends turns 50 this year. This beloved friendship has certainly stood the test of time and continues to be adored by children and adults everywhere. This beautiful commemorative picture book edition features the original jacket and the 5 classic stories and artwork, plus some amazing bonus material. If you go to the next slide, we'll be able to see an example of this. On the slide, which will hopefully move in a second, there's a congratulatory pub day telegram from Ursula Nordstrom, a self-portrait of Arnold LaBelle, and an early sketch of Toad there in that lower left-hand corner. In addition to archival material such as photographs, sketches, and pages from the original book dummy, there's also a short biography of Arnold LaBelle and how he was inspired to write the Frog and Toad stories. The larger picture book trim makes this perfect for story time and read alouds. This is coming in September. I promise to be courageous, to be free, to strive for greatness, to be me. We are thrilled to be publishing the LeBron James's debut picture book, illustrated by Nina Mata. This book was inspired by LeBron's Foundation's I Promise program that motivates children everywhere to always strive for greatness. This book is all about self-esteem and perseverance and encouraging kids to be their best selves. And if we go to the next slide, you can see the illustrations are just stunning. This book will also include the original I Promise pledge and a signed letter from LeBron. And I'm very proud to share that as the publisher of I Promise, HarperCollins will be making a monetary and book donation to the LeBron James Family Foundation. I Promise will be on sale in August. Next, we have a charming celebration of every child's ability to connect with the environment and make a positive impact. This terrific and clever addition to the Natural World Green Living shelf is an affectionate exchange of letters between the kids of Room 5 and Earth, asking what they can do to help. Over the course of the year, the kids in Room 5 put their newfound knowledge into practice. You can see on the next slide in some of these interior spreads that there's the back and forth between the students and Earth as everyday practical environmental tips are shared. The science facts in this book were vetted by award winner Melissa Stewart, and this story is incredibly positive and hopeful, leaving young readers feeling like they can be Earth heroes. And in the spirit of reusing, the double-sided jacket will have a poster with a tip for each month of the year on the reverse. This is pubbing in December. Next, we have Dinosaurs Are Not Extinct, a hilarious and engaging nonfiction book about, you guessed it, dinosaurs, a perennially popular topic with the youngsters. As STEAM becomes a bigger and bigger curricular focus, this is sure to be a hit with teachers who are searching for good titles with science application. This book stands out from the crowd by primarily focusing not on the lives of T-Rexes or Triceratops, though don't worry, they do make an appearance, but by highlighting the dinosaurs of today, birds. If you can hit the next slide, Drew Sheneman, New Jersey resident and cartoonist for the Star Ledger, does an amazing job, you can see here, of presenting facts and research in an accessible and fun way, drawing connections between the extinct giants that get so much attention and their chickens and pigeons that we may not think twice about. And he's drawing from his comics background the whole time to create truly wonderful and scientifically accurate full color artwork. I really think this is one that's just gonna fly off the shelves. Dinosaurs Are Not Extinct goes on sale in October. From the author of Poor Belpré Honor Book, Planting Stories, and the illustrator of the Poor Belpré Honor Book, Island Born, comes A Girl Named Rosita, the story of Rita Moreno. This gorgeously illustrated biography pays tribute to the life and career of the first Latinx person to have earned an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. It follows young Rosita as she leaves her home in Puerto Rico for New York City, studies English and dance, moves to Hollywood, and becomes the first Latina to win an Oscar for her role as Anita in West Side Story. Rita Moreno is a true icon, and this book does stunning justice to her incredible talent and accomplishments. We are still finalizing the cover, so what you see here is the title page and an interior spread. A Girl Named Rosita goes on sale in November. Sometimes People March is a timeless and important book for activists of all ages. Debut author-illustrator Tessa Allen uses spare, inspiring text and gorgeous watercolor illustrations in this picture book introduction to the many ways and many reasons Americans exercise their freedom of speech to protest injustice. From the Newsies strike of 1899 to the Greensboro sit-ins in 1960 to the more recent Dakota Access Pipeline protests and March for Our Lives, dozens of movements, marches, and key figures throughout history are depicted in the art. You'll see some examples here on the next slide in these interior spreads. One thing I really love about this book is that it talks about how marching isn't the only way to be an activist. You can use your voice, your words, your art, sometimes even your silence in the name of justice. Information about the events and causes depicted is included in the back matter, which also encourages readers to use this book as an impetus for discussion and for learning more about how they can get involved in enacting change of their own. We were just truly blown away by this book. It's educational and inspiring, and it really conveys the message that from past to present, one thing really remains true. No matter how or why people march, we're powerful because we march together. Sometimes People March goes on sale in September. Switching gears slightly, we have come to The Oboe Goes Boom, Boom, Boom by acclaimed author Colleen A.F. Venable and the incredibly talented Leanne Cho illustrating. You may know Leanne as the artist behind the stunning illustrations in Erin Entrada Kelly's Lilani of the Distant Sea. This colorful and dynamic book follows a band director as he attempts to find the perfect instrument for each of his young students. I just love this book so much. As the director introduces each instrument, if we go to the next slide, we'll see an example of this. As the director introduces each instrument, we get a little bit of its history, a little bit of its science and mechanics, and a little bit of an impatient student named Felicity who interrupts with her drum, hence the title. Not only is this just a really cool and unique way to teach kids about music, it's just so fun. And this is one of my favorite parts. Each of the characters is based on a real musician who's known for their excellence on their chosen instrument. Profiles of these musicians, including oboe player Ruth Whitty Gipps and flautist Ian Anderson, founder of the band Jethro Tull, are all included in the back matter. This book hits shelves in September. Next, we have Awesome Man, The Mystery Intruder by Michael Chabon. This is the follow-up to 2011's The Astonishing Secret of Awesome Man. In this installment, Awesome Man is dealing with some anxiety about the mystery intruder, the new superhero who's about to arrive in Awesome City. Will they get along? Will the people of Awesome City no longer need Awesome Man? Will they be rivals? Spoiler alert, we eventually find out that the new hero is actually a brand new baby sibling. Michael Chabon does a great job here of highlighting the initial worry that older siblings have and the adjustment period, as well as the inevitable love shared between family members. Awesome Man, The Mystery Intruder goes on sale in September. Two-time Caldecott medalist and best-selling picture book creator Chris Roshka has done it again in The Blue Table. This stunning and innovative picture book is set entirely around a blue table, the heart of the home where friends and family gather. It depicts the simple joys of the day-to-day, preparing a meal, gathering with loved ones, laughing, talking, helping each other clean up. And it does it with minimal text and these gorgeous collage illustrations. It really celebrates community, gratitude, generosity, and just the joys of being able to gather with the friends you care about. This is pubbing in October. And who better to close out our picture book section than Lauren Long. Lauren takes the classic Night Before Christmas and reimagines it for modern audiences. He says in his illustrator note, "Christmas brings joy and love all over the world, no matter who we are, where we live, or how we celebrate. That's what I wanted to portray in this book. One magical Christmas Eve celebrated by children from different kinds of families." You'll see across the bottom of the jacket, and these images are also reproduced in the title page spread and inside, there are 4 different homes and families depicted throughout the book. One of them's in an urban city apartment, one is in a snow-covered farmhouse, one's in a trailer park, and one's in a home surrounded by palm trees in a tropical location. The text, of course, is the familiar, well-known classic, and as you can see from this sample spread, the art is really just incredible. The Night Before Christmas goes on sale in September. And that is it for picture books. Thank you so much for listening, and it's
Terrific. Andrew, hang on one second. Just before we get to a very exciting imprint announcement and launch, we're getting a couple of questions or a number of questions about arcs and galleys. We have put a collection together on Edelweiss just for, the books that we are presenting here, plus a couple of others from our fall list. We're going to be sending out a link to that after we're done with the session today. So we will have e-galleys available for most every title we're presenting today, and we also will have full interiors for all of those picture books in that collection. So look for that. The link will go out later today or on Monday. Now, without further ado, I would love to introduce our newest colleague, Andrew Arnold, who is the new editorial director of Harper Alley, our new graphic novel imprint that we could not be more excited about. So over to you, Andrew.
All right, thank you, Patty. So hi everyone, my name is Andrew Arnold, and like Patty said, I'm the editorial director of Harper Alley. I'm so happy to be here with you all today to talk about our mission and our list. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you for all of your support and enthusiasm for graphic novels all these years. Without it, the comic format would most certainly not be where it is today. So thank you for continuously spreading the word and the importance of graphic novel storytelling. Not only do I think you've opened the doors to more reluctant readers, it's also opened the doors for more graphic novelists' voices to be heard. And it's also given publishers the opportunity to explore the format more fully and publish books that, way back when I was a kid, they just weren't available. So, thank you. And I'm just really happy to be here. So thanks to Ron and Grace and the rest of Booklist, as well as Harper School and library team, Patty, Mimi, and Katie, for having me. It's just a real honor and treat to be a part of this. But before talking about our list, I thought I'd give you a brief history of myself and how I came to work in this wonderful world that is comics. So you can sort of, on the slide, you can see a picture of me. That's me. My journey into comics started way back in 2005 when I enrolled into what was the first ever class at the Center for Cartoon Studies, which is this tiny cartooning school in White River Junction, Vermont, where someone can go and earn a certificate or MFA in comics and cartooning. Back then, the comics, the kids' graphic novel market wasn't what it is today. Scholastic Graphics was still in its infancy, and First Second had been announced, but it hadn't been launched. So at the time, the only way into the industry, as far as I was concerned, I guess, was either as a mainstream comics writer, artist, colorist, letterer, or by working for a mainstream comics publisher. So a publisher like Marvel Comics or DC Comics. My parents, my folks were both, concerned, right? They wanted me to have a stable job. So I wound up getting a job while I was at school, actually, finishing up my thesis in New York at DC Comics in their advertising department. That wasn't my dream job, but it was my foot in the door. And while I was working there, I was still very much connected to the Center for Cartoon Studies. And the director of the school and co-founder, James Sturm, who, along with being the awesome teacher that he is, he's also really incredibly talented cartoonist as well. And he asked me and another classmate if we'd be interested in working on a graphic novel project with him. So we said yes, and that project wound up becoming Adventures in Cartooning, which was acquired and published by First Second. So when this happened, this really opened up my eyes into the trade publishers world in so many different ways, especially when it came to graphic novels that weren't only being sold in comic book shops, which up until that point in my life, I was really familiar with, or mostly familiar with. Like, that's where I would always get my comics, was the local comic shop. But they were also finding their ways into schools and libraries and bookstores, both big and small. So it was clear to me that there was a lot of potential for comics in that world, specifically when it came to comics for kids. And I just really loved creating content for younger readers. I loved working on Adventures in Cartooning. And I thought, hey, this is a place where I want to be long term. So I eventually stopped working at DC Comics and was able to get a job working at Roaring Brook Press and FSG Books for Young Readers, where I worked for Lauren Wall for about a year. It was great. During that time, I really got to learn even more about the school and library market. Going to shows and connecting and hanging out with librarians was incredibly impactful. And it made a lasting impression on me, hearing firsthand from teachers and librarians the impact that graphic novels were making in their schools just really hit home. And so I did that for a while, and then eventually found my way over into the art department, where I could be a little bit more, hands-on with the bookmaking process. And I designed picture books, chapter books, and young adult novels. I also got to design comics every now and then too. But it wasn't until I moved over to First Second to work as the art director where I really got to focus on comics full time. While I was there, I worked with, a ton of awesome creators, such as, and this is just naming a few, there's so many, such as Gene Yang, Vera Brosgol, Ben Hackey, and Jen Wang. So that recently I was able to join HarperCollins books, HarperCollins children's books, to start what would become Harper Alley. I've been here a little over a year now. We're launching this fall with a handful of titles, some of which I'll talk about in a few moments. But before going there, I wanted to answer a question that I've gotten a number of times, which is actually pretty straightforward. And that is, what is Harper Alley? And thankfully, I've got a friend here on the slide named Alley Cat, who has more or less become, I guess you could say, the mascot of Harper Alley. And he's volunteered to share our mission with you. He says that Harper Alley is a collaborative, creator-focused publisher of graphic novels for kids and teens that connects with readers of all ages. So thanks a lot, Alley Cat, for sharing that with us. And if you go to the next slide, please, you'll see a graphic from our upcoming launch brochure that tells you a little bit more about us. And I'm just going to take a moment to read it because I think it's, says a lot. So welcome to Harper Alley, a new imprint at HarperCollins Children's Books. We are a curated graphic novel imprint within a big publishing house with worldwide presence. And we are poised to bring you some of the best creators working in the form today. HarperCollins Children's Books is one of the leading publishers of children's and teen books and home to many timeless treasures and bestsellers, such as Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell's The Graveyard Book graphic novel, volumes 1 and 2, and Noelle Stevenson's Nimona, which was nominated for a National Book Award in 2015, as well as the bestseller New Kid by Jerry Craft, which was nominated for a Harvey Award in 2019, and we all know by now it was the recipient of the Newbery Award just this past winter. So cartoonists, we need to update this graphic clearly, but cartoonists continue to inspire, challenge, and push the form in unexpected directions. Our team will collaborate with these creators to publish exceptional graphic novels for kids and teens that connect with readers of all ages. Everyone has a story. Find yours at Harper Alley. And you can visit us online at harperalley.com to learn even more. So all that's to say is that it really does come back to our mission. Our vision really here is to publish graphic novels for kids and teens that will connect with readers of all ages. We want to work with creators who offer a unique perspective on the world and to publish books that have something meaningful to say and that aren't afraid to push boundaries. And I believe I mentioned this a little earlier, but furthermore, in this ever increasingly visual world, the importance of visual literacy just can't be understated. So we're also looking to create books that will help kids learn how to read text and strengthen their visual literacy at the same time. And we believe that comics are the perfect medium for that. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about our mission here at Harper Alley. And now I'm going to I'll talk a little bit about some of our titles on our upcoming launch list. I'm going to just quickly review 6 of the titles. And please note that there are more Harper Alley titles on the fall list. And they're listed in the Edelweiss collection that we'll tell you about and send you a link to at the end of this full presentation. All right, so thank you for going to the next slide. We're going to kick things off with the sequel to Jerry Craft's best-selling, Newbery Medal-winning New Kid. This book stars Jordan's friend, Drew, who has struggles of his own at Riverdale Academy Day School. Drew contends not only with being a minority student, but also being darker skinned, which brings a new and unique set of issues. Like New Kid, Class Act highlights prejudices and microaggressions that can happen in middle school and presents them in Jerry's expert way of using humor to sneak in some hard-hitting, conversation-starting truths. We are publishing this in October in both hardcover and paperback. So we're real excited to have this follow up on the list, and we think you're going to love it. It's great. And so moving on to the next title, we have two titles actually. PB&J. These are the first two titles in a series by Brian Smitty Smith in his children's author illustrator debut about three unlikely friends, a P, a B, and a blue jay, who each find themselves on some unexpected adventure together. This is a new graphic early reader series, perfect for fans of Narwhal and Jelly, with bright, straightforward art and text and a fun but not too complicated plot. This series is just the right fit for kids learning to read and sharpening visual literacy skills at the same time. So I think, Smitty is a real funny, loving person, and both of these qualities really come to life here with PB&J. And we're publishing both book one, which is called Stuck Together, and book two, Wannabes, in September, in both hardcover and paperback. And so if you go to the next slide, the next title we have is Arlo and Pips, King of the Birds. This is the first in a graphic novel chapter book series about a very clever, sometimes obnoxious crow and his astute sidekick, a chick named Pips. Each book will feature 3 comic stories. And I think, Arlo and Pips really showcases Elise Gravel's love for science, her quirky and accessible approach to facts, her love for animals, and her unique charm as an illustrator and comics creator. This is going to publish in both hardcover and paperback, and we have 2 more books signed up that will be coming out the following fall and the fall after that. So we're real excited to bring this series and share it with you all soon. Next up, we have a middle grade graphic novel entitled Joe, an adaptation of Little Women, sort of. This is a middle grade graphic novel inspired by Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. And in it, Joe March finds out that 8th grade isn't just the start of a new school year. It could be the beginning of a new Joe, too. But the question is, and it's a big one, who will that Joe be? It tackles issues of identity. And at the same time, Joe is figuring out what kind of writer she wants to be. She is also discovering parts of herself that she never realized even existed, like her attraction to her female classmate, Freddie. Between self-discovery, new experiences, and sometimes strained relationships with friends and family, this is a terrific coming-of-age middle grade story in graphic novel form. So excited to have that on the list. Next up, we have another middle grade graphic novel called Measuring Up, which stars 12-year-old Cece. She's just moved to Seattle from Taiwan. And the only thing she wants more than to fit in is to celebrate Ama's 70th birthday together. And since she can't go to Ama, Cece cooks up a plan to bring Ama to her and surprise her parents by winning the grand prize in a kids cooking contest to pay for Ama's ticket. This full-color contemporary graphic novel is perfect for fans of American-born Chinese and Roller Girl and proves that food has a way of bringing people together. Just a quick side note, which I think is really special. Lily Lamott, the author, she has worked with Jean Luen Yang on this book and pays homage to American-born Chinese in Measuring Up. So we're really thrilled to be bringing that to Harper Alley. And last but not least, for this presentation, we're going to talk about Lightfall, The Girl and the Galdurian by Tim Probert. This is the first book of the Lightfall series. And in it, Bee and Cad are, 2 friends who are brought together by various circumstances who get swept up in a quest way above their pay grade to save their world from falling into eternal darkness. This book is perfect for fans of Amulet and middle grade readers who love sweeping worlds such as Star Wars. The unique world building in this book is really unlike anything you've ever seen. And I believe that younger readers will just absolutely get lost in Tim's artwork. And I just can't wait for everyone to check it out. I think it's something really special. We have a second book signed up that'll be coming out. I think for now we have it scheduled for summer 21, but that we'll see. So we're really thrilled with this handful of titles. We have more to share as well. And if you go, we also have a brochure to share with you, which if you go to the next slide, we can, you'll see a sort of a panned out view of it. We can send this to you digitally upon request. But I think there's the alley cat back again. It says, this is a comic that explains why comics are so important both in and out of the classroom, and it stars me. So a lot of great things cooking over here at Harper Alley, and we can't wait to start sharing our books with you. Thanks again so much for having me. This has been a real pleasure, and I hope to connect with many of you again in the future. Thanks a lot.
Andrew, thank you so much. Before you go, we have a couple of people asked if our graphic novels will be available as ebooks. Can you answer that?
Oh, I think we've had some conversations about this, and I think last I heard, we're still sorting it out, especially all with with what's going on right now. So I'd hate to answer that without knowing for certain, because I know the conversations are still ongoing, but I'm happy to, maybe there's a way we can, answer. Is there a way we can sort of share that answer at a later date with everyone?
Yeah, yep, we absolutely can. We'll be getting the questions that were asked. Booklist will send them to us and we can respond to them next week. So thanks for asking that question, and we will go back to the office and figure out the answer and answer you fine folks who asked that question. The launch list looks amazing. There are a couple of more titles that we didn't have the time to put on today, but they will be in that Edelweiss collection. So please do make sure you check that out. And even more wildly exciting things coming in 2021. Andrew and the rest of the editors at HarperCollins who work on graphic novels are really, I think, knocking it out of the park. So this is definitely an imprint to watch if you and your patrons are graphic novel fans. And again, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some more middle grade titles, and I'm going to kick it over to Mimi Rankin.
Thanks so much, Patty. All right, so first up in the middle grade titles is Whale of the Wild from acclaimed author Roseanne Perry, who wrote A Wolf Called Wander. So if you loved A Wolf Called Wander as much as we did, get ready to go on another journey with some pretty incredible animals. For Vega the orca and her family, salmon is life. Though not as plentiful as they once were, the salmon that fill the mouth passage in the Salish Sea provide for her family of orcas, keeping them strong during the sparse and hungry winters. Vega is learning to be a salmon finder, preparing for the day when she will be her family's matriarch. But then Vega and her brother Daneb are separated from their family, and a devastating earthquake and tsunami renders the seascape unrecognizable. Vega must use every skill she has to lead her brother across the sea and back to their family. Will Vega become the leader she's destined to be? A Whale of the Wild is the perfect companion to A Wolf Called Wander, as it portrays the delicate ecosystem of the sea and the threats to marine life. Like Wolf, this book has been impeccably researched and vetted. It's illustrated throughout. It's going to include a map and some back matter, and it's an excellent read aloud for parents and teachers. This is not only perfect for fans of The Wolf Called Wander, but also Sarah Pennypacker's Pax, and this one will be coming to you in September. Next up is new Sharon Creech with One Time. Who are you? Who could you be? Gina Filomena has always been told she has an overactive imagination. With her bright clothing from her Nonna Filomena and visions of angels, she's always felt different from the other kids in her class. That is, until she meets her new neighbor, a mysterious boy named Antonio with a wide, welcoming smile. When Gina and Antonio start school, they meet their new teacher, Miss Lightstone, who opens up their world. She starts with a writing prompt, one time, ... and the class takes off from there. Through Miss Lightstone's lessons, a world of possibilities begins to awaken within, and Gina observes as her classmates' creativity begins to blossom. With the help of her enigmatic neighbor Antonio and the teacher with a gift for inspiring her students, can Gina find the answer to the questions, who am I and who do I want to be? Perfect for fans of Love That Dog, this tale is about the transformative power of imagination and the journey to becoming who you are meant to be. And this one is also coming in September. So next up is one of my favorites, and not just because one of the main characters has the same name as me. This is 1,000 Questions by Sadia Faruqi. 1,000 Questions is Downton Abbey set in Karachi, Pakistan. In 1,000 Questions, Mimi and her mother travel from Texas to her mother's native Karachi to stay with Mimi's grandparents, whom she has never met. Sakina works with her father in Mimi's grandparents' kitchen as a cook or a cook's assistant. Mimi doesn't want to be in Pakistan and keeps comparing it to Houston. Sakina has a dream of going to school, but her family relies on the small wages she earns and the help she gives her father as the family cook. The girls could not be more different, but as the summer goes on, Sakina and Mimi realize that they each need the other to help get what they want most, and soon learn that they have plenty in common, including their big dreams and all the right questions. The book is honest about class differences and is a smart story about smart girls. Author Sadia Faruqi was born and grew up in Karachi and came to the US when she was in her 20s. She is a devout Muslim, an interfaith activist, and a cultural sensitivity trainer. She says, "This novel is my love letter to Karachi, a way to lay bare its many complexities and beauties. This relatable and empathetic story about two friends coming to understand each other will resonate with readers who loved Other Words for Home and Front Desk." And this is coming to you in October 2020. Next is Little Bird by Cynthia Voigt with illustrations from Lynn Ray Perkins. When a wild fisher cat attacks their nest, Little Bird and her flock are devastated. Not only does the fisher cat harm the fledglings, but it also makes off with the shiny pendant that the superstitious flock relies on for good luck. Little Bird believes that she can find the lucky pendant and return it to the nest before disaster strikes. The other crows aren't so sure. After all, Little Bird is so little and undependable and meek. But with the help of some new friends, including a very funny rescue goat, Little Bird journeys through forests and over lakes and fields, challenging her wits and survival skills along the way. The crow who returns home is wiser, braver, kinder, and ready, at last, to spread her wings. Newbery medalist Cynthia Voigt's gentle humor, sense of fun and adventure, and open-minded main character sing off the page in this timely and thematically rewarding short novel. Can you get along with those you don't understand? Can someone small and shy be powerful? How do you figure out what is truth and what is a lie? Can you find your own path if you don't like the path others have set for you? This is a great read for read aloud for families and classrooms, and a terrific book for fans of Nuts to You by Lynn Ray Perkins. And if we go to the next slide, you'll be able to see some of the beautiful black and white illustrations that are in the book. You can see that. And also these are great for fans of Avi's Poppy books. See, there we go. So those are just some of the illustrations that are throughout from Lynn Ray Perkins, but they're just so cute, and that silly goat. And then if we go to the next slide, we have Everything Comes Next. But this is a collected work of poems from Naomi Shihab Nye. So many of Naomi Shihab Nye's poems, such as Famous, A Valentine for Earnest Man, Torn Map, and Kindness, are classroom staples and teacher favorites. Naomi Shihab Nye has crisscrossed the country and the world, leading writing workshops and inspiring students of all ages. Drawing on her Palestinian-American heritage, the diversity of her home in Texas, and experience with hundreds of thousands of students and educators, she uses her writing to attest to our shared humanity. This collection, published to celebrate her term as Young People's Poet Laureate, which goes from August 2019 to August 2021, presents the poet's most accessible and luminous poems together for the first time, as well as new, never-before-published poems and an introduction by the poet. The book will serve as an introduction to the poet's work for a new audience, as well as a master collected poems of edition for not only classroom and family sharing, but poetry lovers of all ages. And this one is coming to you in September. And that is it for middle grade.
Just what I feared. I didn't unmute myself. I mean, that's such a rookie mistake at this point with all of the Zoom stuff we've all been doing. This is Patty, and I'm back to tell you about some of our YA titles coming on our Fall 20 list. And the first up is Punching the Air by Yusuf Salam and E.B. Zaboy. Yusuf Salam was just 15 years old when his life was upended after being wrongly convicted in the Central Park jogger case, along with 4 other boys who are now known as the Exonerated Five. In 2002, after the young men spent between 7 and 13 years of their lives behind bars, their sentences were overturned and they were fully exonerated. Their story has been documented in the award-winning film, The Central Park Five, and also in the acclaimed series, When They See Us, one of Netflix's most watched original series of all time. Punching the Air is a novel in verse by Yusuf Salam and award-winning, best-selling author E.B. Zaboy, about a boy who was wrongfully incarcerated. Let's listen to E.B. tell us about it. Please roll the video.
I'm E.B. Zaboy, co-author of Punching the Air. I wrote Punching the Air with Exonerated Five member Yusuf Salam. I met Yusuf 20 years ago in college. I call him a friend, I call him a brother. And back then, I really wanted to interview him after he'd spent 6 years in jail for a crime that he did not commit. And at that time, he had not yet been exonerated. Now, Punching the Air is not the story of Yusuf. It is inspired by Yusuf, who at 16 was an artist and poet. Just like Yusuf, Amal is an artist and poet, and he desperately needs to make a way out of no way. One fateful night completely changes his life. And from that point on, how does he continue to make art? How does he hold on to his passion so that he's able to survive the worst circumstances? This is a story about hope, about faith, about transcending the worst possible thing that could happen to you, according to Amal. This is also a story about the criminal justice system, who gets to make mistakes, who gets to have second chances. I hope you think about what it means to be a young Black man in America, and I hope you think about the role of mothers and sisters and cousins when these lives of our boys, of our girls, of our children are completely changed forever because of the disparities in our criminal justice system. I'm E.B.
Thank you. Steeped in the reality of a teen wrongly accused, paired with E.B. and Yusuf's glorious lines, Punching the Air is a literary tour de force that also offers many timely and important topics for schools and discussion groups to dig into. An ideal next read for fans of Monster by Walter Dean Myers. And like Dr. Ibram Kendi's and Jason Reynolds' Stamped, this is a wonderfully written, socially, politically, and literarily excellent book out this year that shows that the YA publishing and reading community can and will and does take on the important topics of the day. HarperCollins will be partnering with nonprofit organizations to donate copies of Punching the Air to incarcerated youth across the country. Partners will include the Campaign for the Fair Sentencing of Youth, an organization working to end extreme sentencing for children, and the Children's Book Council. Please do download this e-galley, read it, take it in, and share it with the teens in your lives. We will publish Punching the Air in September. We're going to advance a couple of slides. There we go. The Left-Handed Bookseller of London. I love everything that Garth Nix writes, especially, and of course, his old world fantasy series, Sabriel, Lyriel, A Porson, and so on. I also love booksellers just about as much as I love librarians, and I'm left-handed, so this book checked off all of my reading boxes, and Garth certainly did not disappoint. This is action-packed fantasy set in a slightly alternate London in 1983. Susan Arkshaw is looking for her father, a man she has never met. Crime boss Frank Thringley might be able to help her, but Susan doesn't get time to ask him any questions before he is turned to dust by the prick of a silver hat pin in the hands of the outrageously attractive Merlin. Merlin is a young left-handed bookseller, one of the fighting ones, who with the right-handed booksellers, the intellectual ones, are an extended family of magical beings who police the mythic and legendary old world when it intrudes on the modern world. Just like in the blockbuster comic turned movie Kingsman, this book imagines another world that coexists in London with all of the hallmarks of classic Garth Nix world building that had me and will have you hanging on every fascinating detail. We will publish in September. Next up is Grown. I can't resist that cover, and I can't resist anything written by this author. Last year's Coretta Scott King, John Steptoe New Talent Award winner, Tiffany Jackson, author of Allegedly, Monday's Not Coming, and Let Me Hear a Rhyme. When legendary R&B artist Corey Fields spots Enchanted Jones at an audition, her dreams of being a famous singer take flight, until Enchanted wakes up with blood on her hands and zero memory of the previous night. Who killed Corey Fields? Here, Tiffany Jackson delivers another riveting, ripped from the headlines mystery, this time about an issue gaining in recognition. While the Me Too movement has gained steam and highlighted horrific abuse in the entertainment industry, stories like the documentary Surviving R. Kelly show that when the victims are women of color, specifically Black women, there is still not nearly enough attention paid. Enchanted's story puts a megaphone to that issue. We publish Grown in September. Meteor, New Mexico got its name from the space rock that crashed into the desert nearby. No one knows that Lita Perez came with it, or that she's starting to turn back into stardust. She'll never get a chance to graduate unless she can find a way to make Meteor hold on to her. She thinks she can do this by achieving her wildest childhood dream, winning the annual Miss Meteor beauty pageant. But to do so, she'll need the help of her ex-best friend, Chicky Quintanilla. Chicky knows Lita has no chance of becoming Miss Meteor because the pageant queen is always skinny, poised, and white, three things that Lita is not. But Chicky also knows that if Lita can overcome the odds, then maybe Chicky can find a way to really be seen. Taylor Mejia's debut novel was one of my favorite YA books of 2019. It was We Set the Dark on Fire. It got 5-star reviews and a significant amount of media attention. It was included in best of lists by Oprah Magazine, 17, Goodreads, Cosmo, and more. Her good friend and co-author, Anna Maria McLemore's novel Wild Beauty, was named a best book of 2017 by SLJ, Kirkus, and the Chicago Public Library. Their novel, When the Moon Was Ours, was longlisted for the National Book Award and won a Stonewall Book Award honor. It's just terrific to have a book about best friends co-written by two best friends. We will publish in September. Charming as a Verb by Ben Philippe. Halti Haltawanger can charm just about anyone. He is a star debater and popular student at the prestigious Fate Academy, the dutiful first-generation Haitian son, and the trusted dog walker for his wealthy New York neighbors. But his easy smiles mask a burning ambition to attend his dream college, Columbia University. There is only one person who seems immune to his charms, his intense classmate and neighbor, Corinne Troy. When she uncovers Halti's less than honest dog walking scheme, she blackmails him into helping her change her image at school. Halti agrees, seeing a potential upside for himself. Soon what started as a mutual hustle turns into something more surprising than either of them bargained for. Ben Philippe is the authors of last year's William C. Morris YA Debut Award for The Field Guide to the North American Teenager. When Ben isn't writing novels, he teaches screenwriting at Barnard College, and he writes culture pieces for The Observer, BuzzFeed, The Guardian, and others. And as a side note, Ben is the perfect person to ask about what to binge watch next while we're all self-quarantining at home. He has his finger on the pulse of what is good to watch, that's for sure. We will publish Charming as a Verb in September. Thoughts and Prayers by Brian Bliss. Brian was on the National Book Award long list for We'll Fly Away, his searing novel about a teen on death row. In Thoughts and Prayers, Brian delivers an unflinching and moving novel about another important and tough topic, gun violence in schools. Told in 3 loosely connected but inextricably intertwined stories that mirror the 3 responses to trauma: flight, fight, freeze, the novel follows 3 high school students in the aftermath of a school shooting. For years, Brian Bliss has worked with young adults as a youth pastor at progressive churches all over the country, and he's uniquely qualified, I think, to write authentically about teens. He also consulted with trauma specialists for this novel, and the result is a book that you will think about long after you read the last line. We will publish, you guessed it, in September. And last but not at all, never, no way, no how, least, I am thrilled to tell you about Return of the Thief, Megan Whalen Turner's finale to her award-winning, best-selling Queen's Thief series. For those who aren't already fans of the series, it began with the Newbery Honor-winning The Thief, published in 1996. 4 more standalone volumes followed that, by the way, can be read in any order. The books are The Queen of Atolia, The King of Atolia, A Conspiracy of Kings, and Thick as Thieves. The books bring to vivid life a world of epics, myths, and legends, and feature one of the most charismatic and incorrigible characters of fiction, Eugenides, the thief. Now, in the concluding Return of the Thief, Jen is more powerful and cunning than ever before and must navigate a perilous future. And if you are a fan of Jen's, as so many of us are, you'll be happy to know that he appears in almost every page of Return of the Thief. We got to look at, Megan Whalen Turner is writing a letter to booksellers and librarians, and I got a sneak peek at an early copy of the letter. And at the end of it, she just says, simply and lovingly, thank you, all of you who have been with me since the beginning, and everyone who has joined us on the way. I hope you enjoy the Return of the Thief. I hope it's worth the wait. And I will tell you, Megan and everyone else, it is absolutely worth the wait. We will publish with much fanfare in October. So those are the titles that we put together in this pretty PowerPoint deck, but it is just a sampling of our full fall 2020 list. As mentioned at the beginning, we did create an Edelweiss preview catalog or collection of other titles we think you'll be interested in, and Booklist will send the link to the Edelweiss collection, plus a link to that Harper Alley brochure that you really should take a look at. It's filled with all kinds of good info about why graphic novels matter. We'll also send you a link to our Harper at Home assets too. Oh, one note about the ebooks. We've been getting a lot of requests for Edelweiss, access to Edelweiss. Approval won't be immediate, but it will come after you ask for it within the next couple of days. Teachers, librarians, you're in. If we get your email address and we know that you're librarians and teachers, you are in and can enjoy all of the goodies on Edelweiss. So it just might take us a couple of days because we are getting lots of requests right now. So hang in there. Harper at Home, I just want to tell you a little bit about this. As I mentioned at the beginning, we know there are a lot of materials out there for you. What we did was we sort of put them all together in one place. If you go to the next slide, I can also tell you the different groups within HarperCollins. We've got a picture book group, a middle grade group, and a teen group, and each one is doing different and amazing things each day or each week. So you can check these out. These 2 are all linked at Harper at Home. And then on the next slide, I think that might just be our sort of goodbye slide to you. We have some time. If anybody has any questions, we could open it up and see if we can help you answer. I know I've been looking at the Q&As that are coming throughout. A lot of them are about our ebook policy, which I believe currently runs through the end of the school year. So folks are asking, school years, ending in certain places already, and soon after in other regions in the country. So we are talking about that for sure, and what the end date, if there will be an end date to that policy. So I don't have an answer for you yet, but please know we are talking about it and should have an answer very soon on that. So that was a question I saw a number of times. A bunch of questions also about e-galleys. Again, if you go to Edelweiss and you get and you ask for permission to access Edelweiss, and you will get it soon, maybe not today, but soon. We do have a collection that we put together just for you all of the titles that we talked about today. You can also access all of the picture books. There's a lot of other terrific ones on our fall list, and you can see all of the interior PDFs to those. So definitely check out Edelweiss. It's full of great information for you. Grace, I don't know if there were any other questions that we want to address here. Okay, I'm not hearing anything.
And this is Ronnie. Any questions that we missed, we'll certainly look at after the webinar and follow up as best we can.
Okay, great, terrific, terrific. I guess then lastly, I'll just say at Harper Stacks, that's the school and library focused digital hub of HarperCollins. We post new videos, or usually videos, every Monday at 4 o'clock. This past week, we had Liz Acevedo reading from her new novel. Earlier, a month or so ago, we had Erin and Trada Kelly talking about bravery and creativity. That was a terrific one. And we've got lots more videos in the works. So check that out. We're also, of course, on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, so look at us there too. We will get your questions from Booklist and we will answer them as quickly as we can. If you think of something else, or if you have another Harper question that's not quite related to Fall 20, and you just want to contact Harper Mimi Rankin, her email address is here. We'll be happy to help you. And if we can't answer your question, we will forward it on to a person or persons who can. Yeah, so I think that's what we've got. Thank you again for being with us and for spending an hour with us and listening to our Fall 20 books. I hope there's some goodies on there for you and your patrons. And thanks a million. And thank you, Booklist, too, for being such a terrific partner.
Thank you so much, Patty, and Mimi and Katie and Andrew as well. A really spectacular collection. And so, on Monday, all attendees will receive an email containing a link to today's slide presentation, as well as a certificate of completion and a video archive of today's webinar, which will also be posted at booklistonline.com/webinars. Please visit that same URL to learn more about Booklist's webinars, view an archive of past webinars, or register for our upcoming webinars, like some of the ones you see here. If you haven't already, please be sure to check out the Booklist Reader, where Booklist contributors are posting weekly about all things books and library land. And Booklist has a digital edition of the magazine, which you can connect to your subscription online. This format pairs the page-by-page reading experience of print with the convenience of online access, and it's included free with all Booklist subscriptions. Not yet a subscriber? Take advantage of this special webinar offer to get print, online, digital, and archive access to Booklist for only $99. In case you haven't heard, all Booklist and Booklinks digital content is currently free to everyone. So check out our website to begin reading. Tired of waiting to see the latest copy of Booklist or worrying it might get misplaced on its way to you? You can now purchase an extra copy for your library for just $50. To learn more, please visit a certain link, which is bit.ly/booklist450. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. One more thank you to our sponsors, HarperCollins Children's Books, and to all the presenters. This concludes today's webinar. Stay safe, everyone.